Grade 8. Today is our MAPEH 8, second quarter, week 2. Again, my name is Rinaldo B. Malimban. Our lessons for today is all about the painting and color. Now, painting is the art of creating ideas in terms of lines and color upon the two-dimensional space. So the elements of painting include line, shape, color, value, and texture. Aside from that painting is the practice of applying paint, pigment, a color, or other medium to the solid surface. The medium is commonly applied to the base with a brush, but other implements such as knives, sponge, and airbrushes can be used. In art, the term painting describes both the act and the result of the actions. Now, let us proceed in a Chinese painting. To the Chinese, there is a strong relationship between painting and writing. So the material used in painting and writing are the same. Oftentimes, picture painting is combined with the poem, and many painting subjects are views and sceneries and the environment. So through picture painting, the Chinese are able to show more ways to give meaning to environment, aside from the photographic way commonly used in the West. So the Chinese rarely use other colors than black ink and white paper. For example, if they paint in a mountain, they show different shades of color black to show trees or stones. So the paper becomes symbol of the sky or clouds. The smooth characteristic flow of ink on the paper, like in the flow of the light, that is emphasized by the Taoist. Ink painting is most monochrome painting in the black ink and is dilute gray. So the interactions of black ink and white paper is like to the contradicting forces of universe. So like night and day, darkness and brightness. Finished work are generally mounted on the stick as a hand scroll or leaves of an album. So the favorite subject in the painting is the paradise of Buddha with the calligraphy. So the art of writing on the hand scroll, a painting of generally presented by the panel, giving the work in the title colophons, describing the work. So the Chinese were the first people to think of picture painting as honorable work. They used brush to write and paint picture. Now let's proceed to the most commonly paint in Chinese painting. So this is the aim of the traditional Chinese painter to capture not only the outer appearance of the subject but the inner essence as well. Its energy, life force, spirit to accomplish the goal. The Chinese painter more often than not rejected the use of color, like the photographer who are prefers to work in black and white. So the Chinese artist regarded color of destruction. So it's also rejected the changeable qualities of light and shadow as main as a modeling along the opaque pigments to conceal mistake instead of relied on the line and indelible mark of the ink brushed. So this is from the side, that is the example of the art in Chinese. Now let's move on in the scroll. So this is the example, the scroll in a long rule of illustrated parchment of silk. So as shapes of figures are limited to the various of essentials. In Japanese painting, all painting is the prepared artistic expression in Japan. It is a practice by the amateurs and professionals alike. The Japanese have developed beautiful techniques for making color prints. They use brush for writing instead of pen, making them particularly sensitive to the artistic values of painting. So Japanese scroll painting is called the Yamato, which means picture. Japanese artists use the horizontal scroll or hand scroll, or what you call this, the eno-kenono, as well as the leading of the viewer in journey through the landscapes. Some scrolls measure as long as 50 feet and all meant to be seen. A small section is assigned by only 2 or 2 to 3 people. So another important form of painting is the decoration of screens. A screen is a partition used as well as to divide a room. Now, in the Japanese painting, in Kaiga, also Gado is one of the oldest, most highly refined of Japanese visual arts, encompassing a wide variety of genres and styles, as with the history of Japanese art in general. The long history of Japanese painting exhibits synthesis and competition between the native Japanese aesthetics and adaptation of imported ideas, so mainly from Chinese painting, which was especially influential as a number of points. Significant Western influence only comes from the later 16th century onwards, beginning at the same time as Japanese art was influencing that of the West. As I said a while ago, the Yamato style was partly native inspiration and partly derived from one of the style of decorative wall in the scroll painting of Tea and Dynasty China. So Yamato is the calculated decorative styles and essentially an art of illustration. At its best, unequaled in its vigorous flowing compositions. Now, let's move on for the Indian paintings. In the Indian paintings and also the adaptation of the calligraphy. So, in the Ajanta caves in Maharashtra, India exhibit magnificent early paintings of Buddhism. Northern India artists of 17th to 18th centuries were influenced by the miniature painting tradition of Persia. Serene landscape and religious legends with popular subjects, much of Asian art in Buddhism. Another religion began 14,000 years ago in Mecca, Arabia. It is called Islam and the second largest of religion in the world. So the Quran is the holy book of Islam. The finest examples of calligraphy are found in this book. So have you seen these things of the Indian painting has very long tradition in history in Indian art. So though because of the climatic condition, very few early examples survive. So this is the example of the Indian calligraphy. So the calligraphy in the swirling geometric patterns of plan-like use of decoration. This became popular decoration because early Muslim teaching forbade featuring humans or animals. Now let's proceed to the Midja painting or the painting Midja. A mixed media painting is one of that combines different painting and drawing materials and methods rather than only one medium. Any material can be used, including collage items such as pages from magazine, newspaper, photographs, fabric, soil, and packaging. So an artist used different painting media to express their creativity. Some favor oil painting while others prefer watercolor. So the choice of media is a crucial one for any artist. He must first decide on his theme and the style he is going to use before he can make the final decision in which the painting media to use. So the cheap kinds of painting media are, we have also here. Okay, the one is the encaustic, fresco, tempera, watercolor, cold ink, and oil. In caustic, This technique uses pigments mixed with hot wax. A heated metal called a cauterium is used by the painter to spread colored melted wax on a wooden panel, giving the luminous color finish. Aside from that this technique was used by the early Egyptians, Greek, and Romans. This is the example of picture showed. Next is the Prescott. So this technique use pigments that are mixed with water and then applied to the wet plaster. Why? Because this method was used by Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling in the 16th century. And this is the example of one of the art of Michelangelo. Next is tempera. It used pigments mixed with an egg and is applied to the wooden surface. That's a color with a thin coat of gesso. Now, in the gesso is a fine white plaster giving an enamel-like surface. And that is the example of the painting with the egg tempera. So very beautiful and very amazing. Other one is the watercolor. Below of that is the example of the picture in the watercolor. So this technique uses pigments that are bound with a gum, Arabic, and dilute water. So why? Because no white pigments are used. So the white of the paper furnishes the light. Next is the goek. It is similar medium but used by opaque watercolor. And last is the one of the kinds of painting in Midja is the oil. So the oil pigments used in this technique are mixed with the linseed oil. Why? Because the paint is applied to the stretched canvas that has been primed or sized with the coating of white paint. In oil painting, a variety of colors and textures can easily be obtained and errors can easily be corrected. Now let us proceed to another topic in synthetic paints. So in synthetic medium, this covers a wide range of materials as a result of the industrial development. This medium is used to form the textiles and building paint. The most popular is the acrylic medium, which has the characteristics of all the oil and the dryness of the tempera. So this medium for this chemical compound, one type being an oil modified alkali resin. They have the advantages over all paints and setting more quickly and offering greater durability where corrosions and is a danger. So these also have a better flow and are easier to apply. Drying is by evaporations of solvent, by oxidations and chemical changes. Next is the color mixing or mixing colors. So there are several ways of mixing color for painting. One is the optical mixing. So it refers to the deliberate placing of fragments of shades of color side by side in order to generate additional optical effect. So optical color mixture, two or more colors that are placed near one another can create an illusion of a new color. So the effect takes place when there are too many colors for our eyes to completely comprehend, so we create an interpretations of a new color that may not be presented in design. Next is the scrambling. Now, one of the mixing color is the scrambling. So this is an application of opaque paint over the different color of paint on the canvas. The original color is not covered entirely, thus giving an even effect. Next is the wet and wet. Wet color is usually painted onto wet color on the canvas, resulting in the partial mixtures of another color. That is the example of the pictured show. Next is glazing. In oil painting, it refers to a film of transparent paint applied over the solid color, producing a rich luminous effect. Let's move on for the color as an element of art. So in color, an element of art, we need light to see the different colors around us. So color is what our eyes see, and when light is reflected of an object, white objects reflect all colors and absorb none. So black is the absence of light and color. So we have the color has three properties of traits, and these are the hue, the value, and the intensity. Hue is the name of the color such as red, blue, or yellow. Hues are arranged in circular format on the color wheel and equally spaced on the Mansell and Frank color wheels. Value also is the lightness of darkness of hue. The value of hue can be changed by adding white or black, and the intensity is the brightness of dullness of a hue. Pure hues are high intensity colors. Dull hues are a low intensity color. So there are properties of color and element of art. One is the color scheme. In the color scheme, color can be combined to produce many interesting and striking results. Artists make use of different colors to create different types of color schemes. So the following are some of the color combination used by the artist is the monochromatic. So monochromatic, this is the same use different values of single hue. For the example, dark green, medium green, and light green make a monochromatic scheme. Another color scheme is the analogous. These schemes use color that are side by side on the color wheel and share a hue. Third, from the color scheme is the warm or cool color scheme. In the warm color scheme with red, yellow, and orange colors remind us the sun warm. Why? Because the artist used blue, green, and violet cold schemes to make us think of cold items such as ice or a grass. The fourth one is the complementary. Are colors that are opposite each other on the color chart. Example are yellow and violet, red and green. Number 5 from the color scheme is the triad. This triad is the most combination of the three principal colors. We have these are either pure hue or tone, tint, or shades. Now let's proceed to the color harmony. Color harmony when two or more colors seen in the neighboring area produce a pleasant effect. There are half color harmony. So there are 4 principles in selecting color harmony. We have, if you familiar, order. So order, by this principle, color is chosen at regular spacing in the color chart. B, familiarity. This familiarity, two similar sequences of color that will be more harmonious or more familiar to the observer. For example, a yellow mango with a green leaf is more appealing than a red mango with a green leaf. C is a common aspect. So this common aspect, any group of colors will be harmonious if the colors have common aspect or quality. And D is the abundance of ambiguity. So the abundance of ambiguity is a selecting hues or colors to be used. Choose the simple hue harmony or make the hue different 5 and 10 steps on the Mansell scale. Now let's talk about the color wheel. The Mansell color wheel has 10 different hues, a mixture of the combination of 2 primary colors. These are the red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Along 3 intermediate hues, we have red, yellow, and blue are primary colors. And these are the example of the chart, which is called as the Mansell system. Another is the prong color wheel. The prong color wheel has 12 different colors consisting of primary, secondary, tertiary, and complementary colors. And these are the example of the chart of the prong color wheel. Now let's proceed to the terms used in painting. One is the academic. The term used in painting in academic, this is the style of painting that is worked out according to a conventional set of rules. Next is the altarpiece. This altarpiece is a painting placed behind an altar. Next is cartoon. A cartoon full-size preliminary drawing for a painting. Next is genre. Painting depicting scenes from everyday life. Highlight. The brightest point in the picture where light seems to be reflected. History painting. So this picture taking its subject from ancient history, mythology, or the Bible. Landscape painting. This landscape painting is a painting of nature, woodland, river, clouds, or desert. Madonna, painting of Virgin Mary. Miniature, small painting. Mural painting, picture painted on the wall of permanent decoration. Pita, religious painting of depicting Virgin Mary mourning over the dead body of Jesus. Plein air, picture painted outdoors in contrast to those painted in the studio. Portrait, painting that show likeness to the person or subject. And the lastly is still life. Still life painting that has miniature objects such as fruits, flowers, or books as subjects. That's all for today. For more updates, please monitor our eClass online learning platform. Thank you and goodbye. Again, my name is Ronaldo B. Malimban, your MAPEH 8.